Hello everyone, welcome back. So today we're gonna do a 3-year review on this Express Steel Stump Bucket, and we're gonna talk about using it. I've done many videos in the past, but I'm doing some work here today, and I thought this would be a great day to talk to you guys. So 3 years, this thing's gotten plenty of use, and the thing is, like, other than the dirt and some scratches on it, it is just like the day I bought it. I mean, one of the things that I'm normally worried about is maybe the teeth chipping off, but no, these cheap teeth are like thick, and they're like I said, it's just the way I bought it. So this is a 38 horsepower tractor. Now the loader is rated for, I think, about like 1,100 or 1,200 pounds at the pins. And it doesn't matter if you get a 25 horsepower, 33 horsepower, or 38 horsepower loader tractor like I have. You're going to get the same loader with the same lift capacity. So this stump bucket here, I think it was like it's like sub 200 pounds. It's not more than 200 pounds. It's probably more than 150 pounds. I don't remember exactly how heavy it is. You'd have to look up the video from a few years ago. But it's sub 200 pounds. Because here's the thing, this was like $550 when I bought it, and they had a much heavier one at the time, right? And you don't need that on like a compact tractor, right? That's up to like 38 horsepower, because as the loader gets heavier, right, that takes away from your payload and your lift capacity, okay? And with the way these stump buckets are set up, because you're basically digging with the tip over there, which is a lot further out than your typical bucket. You're losing you're losing a lot of strength as you get further away from the pins, right? From the pins back here. So you definitely don't need or want a heavier stump bucket. And like I said, 200 pounds or sub 200 pounds. This one has been plenty strong. Okay, you can kind of see the thickness of the steel. I don't remember exactly what it is, but there's my finger there, so you can imagine how thick it is, right? And then these things here, these teeth are like plenty thick. Okay, so one of the things I want to talk to you guys today about is stump bucket versus a backhoe on the tractor. Okay, I don't think that the backhoe is a great idea on a compact tractor. For one thing, it makes it longer, because the way these backhoes are set up is you get a base back here, right? So there's a base that's installed, and then there's the backhoe goes on the back, which basically has enough room for a seat plus the backhoe itself, right? So it sticks way out. I mean, it would come way past this point here. So this tractor is long enough as it is. So adding a backhoe to the back makes it really long and much harder to maneuver. Now, the problem with the backhoe is that basically you're digging. A backhoe is really good if you're going to dig like a small hole deep in a small area, okay? And what I have found is, like, when I was like digging this thing out over here, a backhoe would really suck for this, right? You want an excavator. An excavator is going to be way better. Now, I dug this thing out with like a 36,000 pound excavator. I've used a 15,000 pound excavator in here. I've done some work with a 5,000 pound. So yeah, you're not going to dig all this out with like a small excavator. First, the issue is that the dirt is simply too hard, right? It's been sitting there for like thousands and probably hundreds of thousands of years. It's compact. You need a heavy excavator, because like when I had like a 5,000 pound excavator in here, what was happening is you just don't have enough weight, because as you're trying to dig, you're lifting up the excavator. The excavator is moving too much. Even after you try to use if you use the blade as a stabilizer, it's just not heavy enough. So the small excavator that I was using, I did a video on that. I'm gonna link it below in the description in the comments, so that you can compare a 5,000 pound excavator to basically a 5,000 pound tractor here. Now the tractor itself is actually close to like 2,500 pounds, but with the fluid in the because there's like 600 pounds of fluid in the rear tires. The front loader is like, I think, 800 pounds, and then I got 1,000 pounds of counterweight in the back. Okay, so this brings this up to about 5,000 pounds. Okay, so here's the thing: a 5,000 pound machine is gonna usually work like a 5,000 pound machine. So I'm going to tell you guys that when I had the 5,000 pound excavator in here, and I've got the 5,000 pound tractor, they're doing about the same work, all right, as far as like their ability to dig into this hard dirt over here. They're doing about the same. I'm having like the same amount of difficulty digging into this dirt. Okay, so basically I just need a heavier machine. So that's one of the things to like kind of keep in mind. It's like if you're like thinking about your needs, right? See, the thing with the tractor is like the tractor is very versatile, right? Because I can use this to cut my grass, right? Can't cut my grass with an excavator, right? This is good because I can use the stump bucket to dig, but then I can also use the same bucket to move stuff back and forth, or I can switch out the bucket and I can do, you know, again, I can move stuff, I can grade. This is a very versatile machine. Okay, so what I have found is that the stump bucket is great for like light digging work if you need to do like a little bit of digging. If you need to do a lot of digging, because normally it's like, you know, unless you're going to be digging like almost every day or like several times a week, I don't think it makes sense to get to buy an excavator that you're only gonna, because you're not going to be digging that often, that deep. Okay, I think it makes a lot more sense to get a tractor. You know, because with the tractor you're going to do a lot more stuff. You can plow your snow. You know, it's just a lot more of a versatile machine. And then when you put the stump bucket, right? This Express Steel Stump Bucket is probably one of the most useful accessories I got for this, right? Aside from the loader that I got it with, you know, throwing on the stump bucket, it gives it a digging ability, right? Similar to if I had a backhoe. Now with the backhoe, I think if I bought the backhoe, it'll get me down to like 7 feet. Whereas with the stump bucket, I can usually, the furthest I can get as far as if I'm digging down, like if I need to dig a hole, like the furthest it'll get me is maybe 3 feet, unless I make it like really, really wide, right? So for those rare cases, it's just a lot easier, cheaper for me to just go rent an excavator, right? Most of the time, I'm not digging like deep holes. Like I had to rent the excavator because I wanted to dig down my pond. Let me pause it. So the main reason why I rented that excavator is because I wanted to dig this pond down from, I mean, at the deepest point it was like 2 feet. I've dug it down to about 4 feet. Okay, so the total reach on the excavator was like 7 feet. But still, just because, I mean, you're not gonna, like in this case, I wasn't at the ground level. The pond's a little bit deeper, so you're usually not gonna get the full digging depth that's stated on your excavator. So if you need to get down to like 4 feet, you probably need an excavator that can reach twice that. Okay, but the point is that I needed an excavator for this. Having a backhoe on the back of the tractor would have really sucked. It's just wouldn't have given me the flexibility to get in there, to get deep enough to maneuver the way I needed to maneuver. Here, let's go back to the tractor. So the other thing with the tractor, when you're working, you're doing most of the work with the back and forth motion of the tractor, okay? Whereas with the excavator, or if you're using the backhoe, it's usually stationary and you're not using the back and forth motion. You're using the hydraulics. Okay, so the good thing about that, right, is, well, the bad thing about using the tractor is if the ground's a little bit wet, like it's a little bit wet here, but it's not that wet. But if the ground's wet, as you're going back and forth, you are tearing up the ground, and a lot of times you're going to kind of just work yourself into a mud pit. With the excavator, which usually has treads, right? First of all, there's not a whole lot of back and forth motion, right? Because you're more stationary. You're using the hydraulics to do your digging, so that tends to tear up the ground less. Okay, you know, and whereas with the tractor, because of the back and forth motion, you're tearing up the ground. Okay, so that's one of the pros and cons. So if you don't want to tear up the ground, yeah, the excavator is going to be the better choice. Although, like with the tractor, I can like easily like roll over, let's say there's gravel. With the excavator, if you're like doing a lot of movement, you tend to like really like rip up the gravel and stuff like that. So you know, so those are the things that you kind of have to consider, especially like if you're on grass or something. I can roll over this tractor over grass, not tear it up. With the excavator, even if I'm just making a couple passes, I'll tear it up. However, if I'm doing a lot of constant back and forth motion working, the tractor's also going to start tearing up the grass, right? So it's just kind of one of those things that you have to like kind of weigh and figure out what's going to be better. Okay. Here, let me hold on. Okay, so what I did is I put the camera on a tripod, and I'm going to dig into this dirt over here. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to include a link below to the 5,000-pound excavator that I had rented. So we're comparing apples and apples here, same weight machine. And you can, I think that if you look at the excavator video, you'll see that I'm having about as much of difficulty, right, about the same amount of difficulty digging into this hard dirt. The benefit of this, of the stump bucket, is that after I dig it, I can load it up and I can wheel it out of here, okay? Whereas with the excavator, I had to dig it, right? So I had dug it, but then I had to come in with the tractor to pick up the dirt and wheel it out of here. So I basically needed two machines, okay? Whereas here, I'm only using one because this stump bucket can dig, all right? And you're gonna see me digging both ways. First, I'm gonna dig with the back end, like I'm gonna basically dig down, okay? Now, basically I'm gonna roll the bucket down and dig back, but you wanna be careful not to dump the bucket too much, because when you dump the bucket too much, that when the cylinders, the hydraulic cylinders are fully extended, that stresses the shit out of them, okay? So you want to be careful not to bend your cylinders over here. So don't extend your bucket like, or dump it all the way and start digging. Have it like maybe halfway dumped, and you can dig like that. And you just gotta be careful, like you gotta be a little gentle with it, right? Don't just like whack at it like nuts or something. Be careful, because that can stress out your cylinders. Obviously, with an excavator, that's not an issue. It's designed for that. You know, here I'm kind of making this work. So you're gonna see me work this both ways. I'm gonna dump it, dig that way, and then I'm gonna dig forward. Okay. You know, so let me start off tracking with you. All right, so you guys saw what it took to dig into this, how I had the bucket just angled down a little bit. I'm using those teeth to dig into this hard soil over here, and then coming in and scooping it. So sometimes I gotta play it both ways, you know, down and then up, depending on, because sometimes there's rocks and stuff sticking out of there. But the good thing about this is, like, I filled up my bucket and now I'm ready to wheel it out of here. Whereas, let's say, the excavator is extremely slow, right? So it's not like you can fill up your bucket and then roll it, you know, 200 feet and roll it back. That's like extremely inefficient. If you've got, and it wastes a lot of gas, you know, a lot of fuel, a lot of diesel. So if you only have an excavator, what you're going to end up doing is digging and then maybe renting out a tractor so that you can, you know, scoop this stuff out, you know, with a front loader. So the stump bucket is very versatile in that it can do a lot of the work that an excavator would do, as long as you're not digging like a small hole that's deep. An excavator or a backhoe is much better for that. But if you're digging shallow, or you're trying to dig into, like, you know, into a wall, like I'm doing over here, you know, into this trench, this is really a lot easier to work with. So to get a backhoe for the back of this tractor, and this is like back like almost like 12 years ago when I had priced it out. It was something like $10,000. It's probably easily up to like $12,000 just for the backhoe attachment now. Okay, so let's say you're gonna pay $12,000 for the backhoe attachment. This stump bucket was $550 when I got it. It's probably up to $800 now, but that's a much cheaper, much more versatile option in my opinion. Okay. So yeah, for me, it makes sense to have like the tractor with the stump bucket to do most of my digging. Okay, and then when I need to do something really specialized, where I need that extra reach, or I really need to go deep, you know, for that project, I'll rent out an excavator. Okay, so hope this video was useful for you guys. So drop some comments below, let me know what you guys think, and I'll talk to you all soon. Hey everyone, I want to add one more thing. I wish they had made this stump bucket a little bit longer, not at that end, all right? It doesn't need to be longer that way, but like taller, right? But not taller. Like this end over here is tall enough. I wish the bottom here extended to at least another 6 inches. Right, so it came down a little bit further. It would have added a little bit more capacity. But more importantly, what happens is, a lot of times, if I'm trying to, like, let's say, just like kind of flatten out the ground, and I don't want to switch out to my other bucket, what tends to happen is this piece here hits the ground before this piece here. So it's really hard to do any grading, like even if you want to do like something, like, because a lot of times you're working and like you tear up the ground and you want to smooth it out a little bit. It's very hard to smooth it out at all with this bucket, because as you try to smooth it out, you know, this part here, see how it is over here, this part here hits the ground first. So I wish this came down lower so that this level area here would be what's making contact with the ground. Okay, so I just want to add that little critique and advice to improve this bucket. This, by the way, this is the Kubota L3901. I also have an L3800 at a different location.